Hello and welcome to Fantasy Football Week 9. We will be going over our rankings as Trevor abruptly exits because I offended him pre-stream, apparently. I'm Zach Bruner, Trevor Land in the middle, Luke Reimer on the right. We'll get into rankings in a second. Luke, you are a self-proclaimed fast food aficionado.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for you because I
Ready.
live in Eau Claire and a new restaurant just opened up.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Asian food.
Yep.
We have really good Asian food in Eau Claire. We're a Hmong hub, big Hmong community here, so
Yep.
good Asian food. A Panda Express just came in.
Yeah, great.
Is it worth going to it? Like, do I need to go?
See, the thing is, when you go, they just opened one here in Green Bay too. The thing is, when you go, I don't know, because the one here is the lobby is closed for COVID or whatever right now, so the drive-through is just absolutely packed. So
Sure.
I mean, it's really good food. It's my favorite, Asian food place. But when you get food there, if it's on the docket for you, order and pick it up. It goes a lot quicker.
Also, be
Okay.
careful to see what they have because for here in the Milwaukee suburbs, granted different up there, they're out of like every type of chicken but one and all shrimp. So you don't really even get to choose what you get. They just give it to you.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I'll try it out.
Yeah, try it out. And then I just wanted to counter your question with a question for both of you guys as well.
Okay. Okay.
Chinese food, Italian food, Mexican food. Rank them 1 through 3. 1 being the best, 3 being the worst.
Okay, one's got to go Mexican,
Wrong
and then
already.
2 Chinese. And here's why. Here's why. Mexican, you can get like anything and it's the quickest. Like you can get like solid Mexican and it is out in like 2 minutes. It defies all logic why it's done,
It's fast.
but it's good. Chinese, you can go multiple different directions as well. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know where the line stops between Chinese and Japanese in terms of sushi, but it doesn't matter. Chinese is very good. Italian is third because honestly, what is Italian? Like pizza, like Italian
Pasta.
people don't claim pizza. Pasta, they always yell at you if you do something just a little bit wrong. I feel like we
Mm-hmm.
don't actually have true Italian here. So for
Come
that reason, I'm going third.
come to the Italian side of the Reimer family, and you'll get some true Italian food.
Is that an invite for?
It is.
We're gonna. Okay, we'll record a Lombardi sweep.
I'm taking it.
Eating some. For me, it goes Chinese, Italian, Mexican. Like, I don't care about Mexican food. It's fine. I like breakfast burritos. That's probably my favorite Mexican. I think those are solid. It's convenient. I'm on the go. Just roll it up all up in a tortilla. I don't got fucking time to waste.
I would like to say that Luke, I would ask for his opinion to be stricken from the record because he said breakfast burritos were the best thing about Mexican food, and that is clearly the worst part of
The
Mexican
the
food.
thing is about breakfast burritos is eggs are my least favorite food to ever exist.
You're
So
not gonna like it.
so I don't like I wouldn't like the breakfast burrito. My rankings are Italian, Mexican, Chinese. I'm not a huge fan of Chinese. I think I said I was a fan of it when we were talking about Panda Express, but I'm kind of retorting that now that I'm not the biggest fan. But
So what I'm hearing is we all have such a big bias that it's really not even a race at all. So this answered no questions,
my
but it
bias
was
is
interesting.
my bias is right here.
Is that a
Yeah.
boot? Is
No,
that a
Italy.
saxophone? I can't tell.
Kind of.
It's a
Italy.
saxophone.
It looks like a boot.
Where's Sicily? Point to it.
It's right down here.
I don't know if you're right or wrong.
It's the
so
island
I
right
don't
here.
know
It's a
why
big
I have no
island.
idea.
It's the big island.
Okay, let's get into quarterbacks. What do you say? So going through our rankings doesn't apply to quarterbacks, but everything will be half PPR per Fantasy Pros' rules. But quarterback 1 this week, I have Josh Allen versus the Jaguars. I have Stafford at 2 versus the Titans. Lamar Jackson off his bye versus the Vikings at 3. Patrick Mahomes 4 versus the Packers. And Dak Prescott 5 versus the Broncos. Trevor, what do you think about those 5 quarterbacks?
I think they're solid options. Obviously, Josh Allen at 1, can't argue. Really, these 5, it's tough to argue. Patrick Mahomes is going to be interesting, though, at 4. I don't think either of us or any of us think that Kansas City's offense, when at where it should be can be held by the Packers, but something's clearly off. Patrick Mahomes is not making good decisions. He's just missing receivers. It seems like he's almost looking like a rookie quarterback at times. So for that, if the Packers are super aggressive, I can see that being a problem. At the same time, though, you can't say, well, the Chiefs haven't been great, so he's not going to be good, so put him out of the top 5. He's a tough guy to rank with the way he's playing right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, just to speak on Patrick Mahomes. I think Zach, we talked about it a little bit. Trevor, you may have been in the discussion, but it seems like teams have kind of game planned around Patrick Mahomes, which is kind of tough because Patrick Mahomes is so good, and you want to try to game plan around stopping Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce or whatever. But teams aren't blitzing Patrick Mahomes right now; they're just rushing 3 and dropping 8, and that seems to
Mhm.
be what, at least in my mind, Mahomes is like throwing to guys who defenders who are in Travis Kelce's spot there, because they're there, not blitzing. So Green Bay, in order, for Patrick Mahomes to be good, Green Bay has to blitz, and Joe Barry loves blitzing. Um, so I would definitely take Patrick Mahomes here. Who knows what Green Bay's offense is going to look like without Aaron Rodgers? So that means maybe a little bit more Patrick Mahomes on the field than last week when the Packers just ran the ball to get the ball away from Kyler Murray. So I like the 4 spot for him. I like Lamar Jackson at 3. I think Stafford you can bump up to number 1. Like this guy he's tearing up the league right now. This is the best he's looked his whole career, in my opinion. He's got
Mhm.
studs all around him. Cooper Kupp's having a career year. Darrell Henderson's having a career year. They're basically their 5th option is Tyler Higbee, who is just who's pretty solid starting tight end for fantasy football. I get what separates Josh Allen playing the Jaguars and his rushing ability, but in my mind, I think Stafford's number 1, and he finishes number 1 this week.
That's fair. And Stafford's been great. The worry with Josh Allen at 1, and we saw it against, for sure, that first Miami game when it was 35-0, some other games. Like once they get up, the Bills this year, more than past years, they've been totally cool with running the football and just running out the clock. So that is a worry. In terms of Patrick Mahomes, I've seen too many people say already this week that the Packers defense have not given up a 300-yard rusher or passer yet. And that makes me feel like he's going to pass for 450, 500 yards. Like I'm just sick of it. He's going to see it and they're going to go crazy. That's kind of my prediction there. And I'm not happy about it, but it feels like it is what it is. We're also going to put Eric Stokes on Tyreek Hill, and that's not going to work out.
Mhm.
People are going to think, oh, he's fast. He can keep up with Tyreek Hill. This is what he's built for. Yeah, we'll find out. Going down the list, I have Tua as a top 10 quarterback, and I feel super dirty about it, but he plays the Texans, so I feel like it's okay.
That game is going to be a tie.
Probably, yeah. 3, it's going to be like 5-5 somehow.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be just disgusting. I have Jordan Love at 20. So I have him ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo versus the Cardinals, ahead of Mac Jones at the Panthers, ahead of Ben Roethlisberger versus the Bears. I don't think he's going to do anything crazy. I think it's going to be a lot of checkdowns, a lot of short routes. I think they're going to try to make sure he doesn't make mistakes. And I think it's just going to be enough, I guess, for 20. If Taysom Hill gets ruled active, he's still trying to get out of concussion protocol and everything. They play the Falcons. If Taysom Hill gets ruled active, I may move him ahead of Tua. I may make him top 10. Atlanta, you can pass against, and then he's probably going to rush for at least 1 touchdown. So
Sean Payton was probably excited to see Jameis Winston go down so that
Probably.
Taysom Hill could get into the game.
So stupid. I'm nervous for this isn't like a buy low, sell high stream. I'm nervous for Alvin Kamara, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they add Mark Ingram, and then now Taysom Hill probably at quarterback. Like, if he scores a touchdown, he's probably going to have to catch it, or it's going to have to come from like past 50 yards out. Just stupid.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll dive into Alvin Kamara in the running back portion, but the Vultures are back for Alvin Kamara owners. There's no 6 touchdown game anymore like last year.
no running back is safe this year, it feels like. Everyone's getting vultured, they're getting hurt, they're getting something. Any other quarterback you want to talk about before I compare them to the consensus here?
I just wanted to say I think Jalen Hurts has kind of moved into that garbage time master territory, right up there with Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen. The guy was number 2. Jalen Hurts is number 2, and I think all scoring systems last week. You're not getting anything from him in the first half, but once they're down by 21 and Jalen Hurts can start using his legs a little bit, then then he starts to take off. So I'm wondering if people just aren't aware of Jalen Hurts yet, or I'm very curious why he isn't being ranked higher, because he's going to get those rushing yards, he's going to get those points come second half, third quarter, fourth quarter, whatever.
It's interesting with people like Jalen Hurts, I guess. So much of the fantasy industry thinks of somebody as a good player just because they get a lot of fantasy points. But with Jalen Hurts, he's a bad quarterback. So people kind of push him down in value for fantasy because he's a bad real life quarterback. So I guess I don't have an answer for that. It's just weird. This week he plays the Chargers, which is a really good pass defense, but they're a terrible run defense. So how much is he going to run? If he tries to pass, is he going to have any success? There's just so many question marks with him. But to your point, you would think Justin Herbert and the Chargers are good enough to get up at 20, 25 points, which Jalen Hurts eats up at this point.
Would you be scared? Because for me, I have Hurts. He's been great until last week. He really let me down. I see your rankings and I see, Burrow at 9, he's available. Tua at 10, he's available. Carr at 11, he's available. Obviously Jalen Hurts will we talk about him 7, he can get there, but if you're looking for a floor, I mean, surely you got to be looking in that 9 through 11 region, right?
I'm okay with Jalen Hurts' floor, I think, this week. Like last week, he attempted 14 passes because they were up by 40 points against the Lions. I just don't think that's going to happen. His lowest passing attempts before that was 23 against the 49ers, 26 against the Buccaneers. Like I think he's going to be fine. He didn't throw any touchdowns. It's the first time probably in any start, definitely the first time this year. He's been a top 10 quarterback every other week of the season except for last week.
So you're not scared about Scott's and Howard's extra usage along the goal-to-go situations?
Are you nervous that Nick Sirianni is going to have an awakening and be like, oh, that worked, we should go back to it?
Extremely.
I don't. I'm not afraid of that. He will do the opposite. They're going to be like, now they're expecting us to run the football. Now we got to pass it. Like, that's Nick Sirianni. I'm not nervous at all. But maybe he's a good coach. Maybe I am overlooking him. I don't
Thank you for helping me sleep at night.
Yeah. It was either that or all the NyQuil you're on. I'm not sure. Comparing to the rest of the consensus, like I said, I have 2 at 10. The consensus has them at 13. I'm currently projecting Tyrod to play. Most people aren't, so I'm not going to talk about that. Jordan Love, I'm 7 higher on. He'll probably come up a little bit, but I think people still don't know what to do with him. I have Mac Jones at 22, and that's 3 spots lower. But that's the only other notable ranking difference. Do you want to talk about any of those people?
Mac Jones, I like that they're letting him throw more than 5 yards now. He's been taking some shots deep. He played well against the Chargers. I just don't think this Patriots offense is designed for a quarterback to come out and throw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. This seems designed for Mac Jones to throw 10 for 15 for 125 yards and maybe a touchdown. Like they don't have Tom Brady anymore. They don't have Cam Newton who can pick it up with his legs. I think you want to stay away from Mac Jones as much as possible, because the people he has around him, I mean, their best players are running backs on offense. That doesn't bode well for quarterbacks. So if you have Mac Jones, I definitely think you shouldn't hang on to him. He's droppable, because I don't see his ceiling getting any higher than it is right now.
I agree. And I think he's the best of the rookie quarterbacks. I think he's a good player. It's just he is a high percentage smart quarterback surrounded by a bunch of possession receivers and no playmakers. So like he gets the ball to somebody and then they're just going to get tackled. So I don't have any, like he just doesn't need to be owned. You're right. Michael Chapp, I sent Naji Diggs or Pitts. I'm not sure what your question is. My new team is Pitts is. Please clarify. I'm not sure what you're getting at.
We want to help you. There we
Yeah.
go.
Wait. What? So, what are you trading?
My new team without Diggs, so you would be sending
Diggs for Naji?
Naji.
I don't know.
Yeah, so what's the trade you're proposing? We're not sure about who you're trading away and who you're getting. We don't know who it is from it because it's Naji, Diggs, or Pitts. I don't know who you're trading away or who you're getting in that trade. Let us know and we'll help you out. Really quick, I'm going to read off my top 5 running backs in half PPR. I have Jonathan Taylor versus the Jets, Alvin Kamara versus the Falcons, Dalvin Cook at the Ravens, Austin Eckler at the Eagles, Aaron Jones at the Chiefs. I could see maybe Aaron Jones coming down slightly, even though we know he's going to have a heavy workload because of the Jordan Love thing. I'm just a little bit nervous about running lanes now. But Luke, what do you think of those 5 running backs?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows my thoughts on Aaron Jones, how I still think he should get 30 touches a game. It's going to be tough because I feel like Kansas City doesn't have great defense, but they can kind of key in on him a little bit with Jordan Love at quarterback. But other than that, Jonathan Taylor has been an absolute monster this year, especially recently. The Colts, they're working him hard, kind of the Derrick Henry, Naji Harris type territory. Dalvin Cook's a really interesting one to me. I don't know what you guys think about him, but we all know how great of a running back Dalvin Cook is. We play him 2 times. The Packers play him 2 times a week or 2 times a year. He just hasn't produced this year to Dalvin Cook levels. Baltimore, I feel like whoever Baltimore is, they're always going to have that grit defense. Hit him in the mouth and push him back. It kind of worries me a little bit. But Dalvin Cook is still a stud. I just don't know what to think of Dalvin Cook this year.
I'm not overly worried about him this week. I think last week was a little bit of a fluke. I think Dallas's defense is better than expected, and they also crowded the box, and the Vikings play calling didn't do anything to adjust to that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that could happen this week too. I'm just expecting their play calling to be slightly better, and maybe I shouldn't. But typically he's going to fall into the end zone, and if he falls into the end zone, that day looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Trevor, what do you got for this?
My bad, Zach. I just saw the trades he said are Diggs or Pitts for Naji, which it doesn't matter. If he does any one of those, take him.
Pitts for Naji, yeah.
I mean, any one of them.
I'd much rather do Pitts.
Yeah, Diggs for Eckler, I would take as well.
Especially it's interesting.
Hollywood Keenan.
We'll talk about both of those guys in a little bit, but Diggs and Pitts are both people who are so inconsistent. And Diggs, I'm not sure if Diggs has been a top 10 wide receiver once this year.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to come around eventually, but also Pitts, you can't predict him. Like he can be very good. I understand Ridley's not there. He hasn't been there for multiple weeks. He might be number 1 week and he may be bottom 30 the next week. I just don't trust him, his usage, his workload. And if defenses actually get to key on him, he's screwed because he's not good enough to beat, a defensive scheme yet.
Yeah, my take on Stefan Diggs is the Bills are dominated right now with how Stefan Diggs is playing. So I don't know why they would need him to do any more than he's doing now. I mean, there's just so many people on that offense. Dawson Knox is out and he's coming back soon. Zach Moss is playing well right now. Josh Allen is always going to steal red zone touches from everyone on the field. Cole Beasley had his breakout game of the year. Emmanuel Sanders didn't even have a catch, and he's still top 30 in receivers for fantasy football. They just have so many weapons there. Diggs is probably a top 10, top 7, top 5 receiver in the NFL. It's just that they don't need him right now. They don't need him to be that guy that they had last year. But I will pose this question to you guys, talking about the trades. Would you trade Diggs and Pitt Pitts for Naji.
I mean, yeah, I would, but if he gets to do one or the other, then
Right.
I'd definitely prefer that. But yeah, I think I still even would do both for Najee at this point, especially with the way the running back position is dropping quickly. Quickly, Henry, we see you. What's up? And Clap Nuts wants to know, would you trade Cole Beasley, Devontae Parker for DJ Moore? And I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
Cole Beasley's not going to be consistent. Devontae Parker's going to be hurt very soon again.
Devontae Parker also plays with Tua, who's not very good at throwing the football.
To be fair, though, he does average about 8 targets a game. So I think he's a sneaky bench piece. But, I mean, if we're talking about for DJ Moore, it's game over.
DJ Moore's a stud.
He is good. He also has to play with Sam Darnold, which sucks, unfortunately. But
Mike White to Carolina.
Might as well. Anybody. Sam Darnold sucks, man.
He's terrible.
He's very bad. I have Boston Scott at 21. I have, just looking at the Eagles running backs, I have Jordan Howard at 38 and Kenneth Gainwell 41. I might move Jordan Howard down below Gainwell. I think Gainwell gets a little bit more involved this week when they are trailing. But I definitely like Boston Scott the best of the three. Do you agree, Luke?
As do I. I missed him, as a pickup in all my leagues. All the bottom feeders were picking him up. But Kenneth Gainwell should be involved. They didn't need Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell's last week. Gainwell's kind of that guy who can, mix speeds up a little bit. He can play outside. He can run inside. You don't need to do that against the Lions. This week, I don't know how much I like the Philadelphia offense. I know they play the Chargers. Chargers have a bad run defense. It just seems like a game, like I talked about Jalen Hurts. Chargers are going to get up early. Jalen Hurts is going to have to do it all himself. That's my only worry with this Philadelphia offense. But if they do get down to the red zone, it looks like Boston Scott's the number one guy. If I'm a Boston Scott owner, starting him at a flex or filling him in for Derrick Henry or whatever, I'd be happy with 50 yards and a touchdown out of him.
Mm-hmm. This hurts for me to say because I like the Chargers, but I don't see the game going that way. Just because if the Chargers and Eagles have shown us one thing this year, it's that they completely do the exact opposite, and they are completely incompetent at putting a game together for more than 2 weeks. So I see this being like the shit show that was the Bengals Packers, but just incompetence instead of missed field goals. And I think that the running game stays alive for the Eagles, not because they're good or they deserve it, but just because the Chargers, just like the Eagles, love to throw good things away.
I can't argue with that. That is a fair take. Luke, you brought up Derrick Henry, talking about his replacements, Adrian Peterson and Jeremy McNichols. I was talking about this last night. I like Adrian Peterson more in the long run, but the next 2 weeks are really tough run matchups. This week they play, where am I looking? They play the Rams this week, and then they play the Buccaneers next week. Or they play the Saints next week. So I like McNichols more these next 2 weeks, and then I'm going to switch to Adrian Peterson. I have McNichols at 26 and Peterson at 31. McNichols should be pretty heavily involved in the passing game.
Yeah, Titans are number one in the AFC right now, with the AFC just an absolute shit show. Speaking of shit shows, Derrick Henry is obviously a big reason for that. But I think, McNichols is a good receiving back. He's fine, third down guy. I just don't see why the Titans would shy away. I think this almost takes away the running game without Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry is very tough to replace. And the Titans got Julio Jones for a reason. This seems like a uptick, and give the ball to Ryan Tannehill and let him make some plays like he did, last year, year before, whatever. So I like A.J. Brown and Julio Jones a lot more than I like a Tennessee running back right now.
I mean, that's fair. We'll see if Julio Jones even plays. He should play. But I just think they're going to be trailing. I think the Rams are going to be winning. I think the Titans defense sucks. That's kind of my big thing with this matchup. I also don't think they're good enough without Derrick Henry to lean on the run and keep the Rams offense off the field. So I think it has to be a track meet. Comparing to the rest of the industry, I have Josh Jacobs at 15, which is 6 higher. Adrian Peterson, 31, that's 4 higher. I'm taking a chance here on a Baltimore running back. I have Latavius Murray at 34, which is 5 higher. I think the Ravens can do some work on the ground this week against the Vikings. And I think it should be Latavius Murray. If it's not him, I think it's going to be Tyson Williams. I don't have any respect for Le'Veon Bell or Devontae Freeman at this point. But I guess we'll see.
The only thing you're getting the only thing you're getting out of Bell and Freeman is if they're up a lot running, they'll mix some guys in to avoid injuries. But Vikings have a good offense. I think this is a sneaky shootout this week.
Yeah, I think so too. I had to break this game for a different website, and I said the same thing. I have Derek Gore higher. I might move him down. I think I just got blinded by the Gore last name and saw hearts. Rex Burkhead I have at 49. That's 4 higher. I don't feel good about liking him more than anybody, so I might just move him down. It was just kind of by default. Jordan Howard 38. That's 4 higher. I have Darrell Patterson at 17, and that's 5 lower. And that makes my heart sad. But he plays the Saints, and I just don't like him. I think he's still an RB2. I would just prefer somebody like Zach Moss, Michael Carter, James Robinson if he plays. I just don't think he's a shoo-in. If he doesn't score, his numbers look very different. Then I am lower on Devin Singletary, Chase Edmonds, David Johnson, Sony Michel, Philip Lindsay. Alexander Madison, people ranked him at 50. Obviously, that's not high. He is like, let me look at his exact rankings. If Dalvin Cook plays, he doesn't do anything. So I don't know why people are ranking him high. I'm assuming these are all of his finishes without Dalvin or with Dalvin Cook. Running back 53, 62, 62, 72. And then he was top 10 the other 3 weeks. So, there's no reason to even trot him out as a flex. He's not going to touch the football. Any running back you guys want to talk about?
I just wanted to bring up Naji Harris. Everyone knows, the workload he gets. Pittsburgh came away with a big win last week against the Browns. Is this kind of like a Derrick Henry situation where, the workload is great, but it could lead to an injury down the line? Or is this a situation where he's young, he can get after it, doesn't matter how much they give him the ball? I know it's not really pertain to this week, but just looking forward.
I mean, anything's possible. He seems built and big enough, like Derrick Henry-like, to take the hits and take the workload. He's also not taking very many big hits. And again, that could be it could be one big hit and he could be down. But I think he's fine. The Steelers are doing a good job where it's not just like, here's the ball, run up the gut, take a big hit. Their offensive line's so bad that they're just trying to get him out in space. And because of that, he's not taking big hits. So it's kind of okay at the moment. Henry asks, he is in a 16-teamer, just lost Derrick Henry. Current running backs are Joe Mixon, Melvin Gordon, Tony Pollard, James Conner, Alexander Madison. Wide receivers, Deontay Johnson, Corey Davis, Mooney, Godwin, Quez, and have Pitts. Are you standing pat or what? I mean, I'm not, but I don't know what kind of trade you could do.
I will say that I'm in this league with Henry. I'm 7-1 in this league, and Henry said everyone's a bitch and scared to trade with him. I told Henry to offer me a couple trades, and he has yet to offer me a trade.
Ooh, beef.
I think Henry comes off to me as one of those guys that says everybody's a bitch, nobody wants a trade, and yet he's like, hey, I'll give you Justin Herbert for DeAndre Swift and Austin Eckler. Like, he's that kind of guy. So miss me with that. It's a solid team for 16 teams, and not as good as Luke's, but you're not going to beat Luke, so I say you might as well stand pat.
True, yeah. I'd probably bench Joe Mixon if you can, just as sort of like an intimidation tactic against Luke.
Also, you know what? You didn't listen to us. You drafted Henry. We told you his body was going to break down, and you didn't listen. So, hey, man, should have been listening earlier.
I guess what I would actually do, I need to look at Antonio Brown's injury situation a little bit still. If Godwin has a good game, I'd probably try to sell him, assuming Brown comes back somewhat soon. If you can sell high on Godwin, that's something I'd be interested in doing to upgrade somewhere else. Or even do that with James Conner too. Like, he keeps falling into the end zone for a touchdown. It's not like he's doing anything spectacular. And we know the Cardinals' offense is going to go down, down, down. AJ Green has COVID. Take that. You lost to the Packers, and we gave you COVID. Fuck off. Yeah, like they're gonna suck. So I would probably try to get rid of Connor as soon as possible too. Trevor's words are irrelevant to Henry. What do you got to say, Trevor? Even though he won't listen to it.
What is it? What was the quote? Bees don't waste their time convincing flies that honey is sweeter than shit. I'm not gonna waste my time on this guy.
I think you mean you catch flies with honey, but you catch more honeys being fly.
Sure, that too. Whatever, whichever one you want. Pick and choose. Let us know in the comments.
I was lost. Okay. I thought it was like a wolves aren't concerned with the opinion of sheep type of thing.
Nah, I came from Jim Carrey. I just saw it, so I tried to go with it, but I think I messed it up. But he had a cool beard.
You probably said it word for word exactly if it came from Jim Carrey. He probably was still talking. He's still finishing the quote right now.
The one that I said I found on Twitter. There was a profile that said funny Tinder bios, and that was one of them.
There you go.
Yeah.
Henry saying, "What the hell was that?" Meanwhile, he likes all the shit teams minus the Braves, but carry on.
Yeah. Does anyone care that the Braves won the World Series? No. Baseball season's done. They start back up in a week. Who cares? Wide receivers. I have Cooper Kupp, number 1. Kind of hard not to put him there at this point. Tyreek Hill versus the Packers at 2. Debo Samuel 3 versus not the Falcons, the Cardinals. Jamar Chase 4 versus the Browns. Stefan Diggs at the Jaguars. Trevor, what do you think of those 5 wide receivers?
I mean, it's tough for me because I see a guy with the name of Debo Samuel at 3, and it's tough because I don't think he's that good of a receiver in terms of like top 5. Like, he's not a guy you normally think of, but he's used so many different ways in this offense. It's tough to not have him top 5. For me, Stefan Diggs, it's tough because I'm looking at AJ Brown against the Rams, Devontae with no quarterback. You know, Stefan Diggs, I agree with him at 5, but I'm not happy about it. So it's just tough with these wide receivers this week. I think makes a lot more sense in like the teens. I think it starts making sense, but you know, the elite 5, I mean, it's such a crapshoot like we talked about with Diggs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. My thoughts on Debo Samuel are kind of similar to what Tyreek Hill was early in his career, where he can touch the ball once. They get him the ball on these quick screens or whatever, and he can take it to the house. I mean, if you take away everything else except for his 84-yard touchdown against the Bears, he still finishes top 20 on the week. Debo Samuel, I think you want. I really like you putting him at 3, Zach, because right now he's the best player in this offense on in my opinion, very bad 49ers team who still feels like that they can compete in the NFC West. So they're still going to do everything they can to win games. Obviously, it's the NFL. You want to win the game. So giving the ball to Debo Samuel seems to be their best option right now, and I don't see why they would shy away from that. One player that I'm really interested in that may sneak into the top 5 or may end up, bottom 70 is A.J. Brown. Like I just talked about how this is going to turn into, or I think the Titans should turn into a passing offense here. It's a tough week to start with Jaylen Ramsey, probably shadowing the best player on your offense with Derrick Henry out. But I think Jaylen Ramsey is susceptible to double moves and to kind of bigger receivers. He's kind of a big corner, but if you can play a little physical with him, you can get open. And A.J. Brown plays as physical as, a receiver as there is in the NFL. So I like the gamble here on A.J. Brown just because I think they need to go to him to be in this game. It's just a tough way to start out with Jaylen Ramsey probably shadowing you all game.
Yeah, once I get word that Julio's in, I think I like A.J. Brown more.
Yeah.
If both of them are playing, I don't know how Ramsey would shadow one of them. I think he would just stick to his side. And at that point, I think Tannehill can kind of just pick and choose at that point. If Julio's out, I think A.J. Brown's good. I don't think he's great. I think Jaylen Ramsey is great, but he can get beat, like you said. I just don't think A.J. Brown can show Ramsey anything that he wouldn't expect, whereas we saw with like Devontae Adams in the playoffs. Like Devontae Adams did shit. He didn't even know where he went half this time. So I think A.J. Brown's footwork's fine. I think he's just big and strong, and he'll get his plays, but I don't think he's crazy. Stefan Diggs was tough to put top 5. Like I said, I don't think he's finished top 10 the entire year. It's going to happen sometime, and it might as well happen against the Jaguars. They're very, very bad. So I'm just taking a chance there. Could he finish wide receiver 15 or so again? Yeah. But I would feel bad ranking somebody above him in that kind of matchup.
Fair.
Do you mind if I interject a question
Go
from
for
Jason
it.
Kenobi? Would you trade Mclaren and Connor for Chubb? Assuming you have wide receiver depth, I actually don't know if I would, just because I think you can sell higher on Connor McLaurin right now. Chubb is good, but he's been very touchdown dependent. And Kareem Hunt, when he comes back, that limits his ceiling.
I would do it. Like you said, assuming you have wide receiver depth, because McLaurin's a stud. Chubb is getting hurt because obviously the Browns' offensive line's a little bit banged up. But also nobody's afraid of this passing offense right now. Like Baker Mayfield, on top of not being a great quarterback, he also is very limited in his movement because of that shoulder and stuff like that. And the lack of Odell Beckham now, I guess. Like defenses at least had to respect him. Now they don't have to respect Higgins or whoever the hell they have out there. I just think Chubb's too good. Like he's, in my opinion, I think he's a top 3 running back in the NFL in real life, not necessarily fantasy, obviously. I would do it. I think he's going to come around. Without Odell, I would hope and think that they would run a lot of 2 running back sets, and I think that helps them both a lot. We'll see.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's catching me on this is, or I guess the Browns running back situation, Kareem Hunt coming back or whatever, in their offense. But how much better is the Washington football team, their offense, going to be when Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back?
Is it a given that they put him in?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a point to put him in.
That's a team. I have no, like, yesterday was really important for me on that team because I wanted to see if they would trade for somebody, they can make a push in the NFC East. I think they're giving up. I think they realize, the Cowboys are actually good, and this isn't just like a race to 9 wins anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they would put him in. It would just be out of respect. But for some reason, nobody respects Ryan Fitzpatrick. So, whatever. I have Devontae Adams down at 7. That hurts my heart. I just don't know what Jordan Love's going to do. I'm not even sure if he's really even practiced with Devontae Adams before. So we'll see the connection there. Who else is important? Mike Williams, I have a 19. That could go up a little bit. He plays Philadelphia. He's going to see a lot of soft coverage. But if the Chargers keep trying to run him deep, he's never going to see the football. For Darrell Patterson, in relation to the wide receivers, I have him at 29. I would still start him at like a wide receiver 2 if you can put him there. I don't know. I'll just compare to the rest of the industry.
I will say you have, I don't know if we're going to touch on him in a second here, but you have Chase Claypool at 23. I think I like Chase Claypool going forward. I think out of especially with Juju out, I think Deontay Johnson, in my mind, is the better of the 2 receivers. And I think that just opens up Chase Claypool for those downfield shots like we saw last year. It seems like he's the kind of guy who teams may forget about and like, oh yeah, they have Chase Claypool. We might want to guard him after he torches them for 150 yards and a touchdown. The big thing there is Ben Roethlisberger. What's he going to do? You know, I compared him to an old dog that kind of pees in the corner earlier this year. I don't think that changes, but I think getting the ball, especially with the win over the Browns, like the Steelers are in a position to contend for the AFC North and, you know, a wild card spot. I think getting the ball to Chase Claypool and Naji Harris both spells more success than, trying to force the ball to Deontay Johnson.
How much stock do you guys put into his targets? Because I was actually looking at him for possibly trading to get. But obviously, first 3 weeks, I think Juju. When did Juju get hurt? Was that week 5, right? Somewhere around there.
Sounds right.
Yep.
But weeks 1 through 3, he had 5, 9, and 15 targets, and since then he's only averaged 6. Granted, that's not a whole lot less, and that's a small sample size. But with Ben's arm, like, is that something that are his targets going to come up? Because if not, I don't know if I'm confident in his target to reception ratio, so to speak.
Like I feel comfortable with Ben. I don't think he's good anymore, but I think he's getting more hate than he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big problem there still is that offensive line. And if he plays a team with a pass rush, I think Claypool's almost irrelevant. Like, he just can't get the ball deep. He may be open, but he's not going to have time to get there. You saw that a little bit with the Browns last week. Browns secondary's beat up and bad, but they still have Myles Garrett. Seahawks brought a lot of heat. They brought Jamal Adams a few times. And then Chicago this week, they may not have Khalil Mack, so maybe he should come up that week. They play the Lions after that. Claypool maybe wide receiver 1 that week. Then they got the Chargers, Bengals again. Ravens are going to do 0 blitzes. Vikings pass rush is super good. So it gets a little bit tough. I do think his value is tied to that more, though.
I just wanted to give an update on the Henry situation. He just sent me a trade. He wants to trade me Damian Harris, Dawson Knox, I'm trading Damian Harris, Dawson Knox, and AJ Brown. He's trading me James Conner, Chris Godwin, and Kyle Pitts.
What?
Just deny it out of principle.
No. You don't do that. You counter. You trade him your kicker for every single one of his players.
Comparing to the rest of the industry, I have Rashad Bateman at 41, which is 5 higher. I like him. I think Rashad Bateman's a stud, and I think the Vikings are going to dare the Ravens to pass this week, as they should, but they're going to get the crap beat out of them. Jamal Agnew, I have at 48. That's 6 spots higher. Jamal Agnew is an absolute stud for the Jaguars, and people need to start putting some respect on his name. Tajay Sharp at 54, 6 higher. Mike Williams, I have 5 lower. Christian Kirk is lower. Russell Gage. I want to talk about Allen Robinson quickly. I have him at wide receiver 52, and that's 12 spots lower than the consensus. So the consensus thinks he's a top 40 wide receiver. And here are his finishes once I find them here. And again, they play the Steelers this week. He's finished wide receiver 67, 45, 78, 51, 66, 46, 71, 74. Why is anyone making him a top 40 guy?
Especially this week, Joe Hayden's going to be out on Pittsburgh's got a tough defense.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm sure you're going to give your thoughts on Allen Robinson, but I'll pose this question as you're thinking: is Allen Robinson droppable?
Yeah, 100%. Same with you, Trevor. Yeah, there's no point. And then especially this week, we've seen how bad Chicago's offensive line is. Like, they can put 3 guys on TJ Watt, and it's not going to matter.
Yeah, and if they're getting rushed too, Justin Fields looks like he wants to run rather than throw on the run. So that just diminishes Allen Robinson's potential that much more.
Yeah, don't like it.
We have a question in the chat. Would you bid up to $100 on a Dante Culpepper signed jersey? If it was the Vikings, yes. If it was like the Lions or the Dolphins, no.
I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking the exact opposite. I want a Lions Culpepper jersey.
But like, you could buy a Lions signed one on eBay for like $50, but the Vikings is like $120. So like, in terms of the bidding, if it's on a Lions, you can just buy it for $50, right? But if it's the Vikings, then market wise, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to feel like I worked for it. So if I pay more for it, then it means more to me, So I'd rather pay 100 than 50.
Mr. Grapefruit. I like. First of all, I like the name. Second of all, Dante Culpepper. It was one of my favorite quarterbacks. When he was good, I was young, but watching football and NFC North guy. Dante Culpepper played in the United Football League for the Sacramento Mountain Lions, which would be pretty cool to get signed Culpepper
That'd be a good
Mountain
one.
Lions jersey.
That would be very cool, actually. I'd
What
be
do
very down
jerseys
for that.
even look like?
I have no idea.
Like greatness,
Right.
like elite. Hey, cool. We got the one and only Bengals fan in our chat. That's really cool. You just go around to live chats and just say "Go Bengals." Like, never met a Bengals fan. That's wild. Okay, let's go to tight ends here. We can wrap this shit up.
Shout out Chad Johnson.
Shout out Chad Johnson. Yeah, he's good. Glory days.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember the guy from Mondovi who played for the Bengals.
Law firm, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis.
He is good. Who the hell is the guy from Mondovi? He snapped his leg at the first play of the Super Bowl. He'll come to me. Okay, Travis Kelce's number 1 versus the Packers. Darren Waller, he came back to practice. He should be good. I have him 2 at the Giants. Gesicki 3 versus the Texans. I think Dawson Knox is going to come back, in which case I have him 4 at the Jaguars, and then Mark Andrews 5 versus the Vikings. Trevor, what do you think of those 5 tight ends?
As the resident hater of all tight ends outside the top 5, pretty solid. Like we've talked about with Pitts, like this dude as the big target, as the guy with Russell Gage getting no targets like at all. He should be the guy, right? Like big bodied guy, fast. He should be the guy. But in a game against New Orleans with Matt Ryan at quarterback, as much as I want to put him or replace him with Gesicki, I think Gesicki's a solid 3-2 that not a lot of people are thinking about.
By the way, Tim Crumrine was the guy I was thinking of, and his nephew was the scariest motherfucker I've ever seen. He was a kicker too. He was like 6'5", 300 pounds at kicker, and he was booted out of the end zone through the uprights on every kickoff. He would make the tackles on kickoffs too. He'd kick in, just run down and kill kids. It was scary. Anyway, Luke, what do you think of those tight ends?
Mark Andrews, I'm excited to see. I don't think the 3 of us have collectively been more down on a player in our 2 years of doing the show as we have been on Mark Andrews. But he is a part of this Ravens passing game. He may suck as a tight end, but with Rashad Bateman coming back, or not even coming back, just playing with Rashad Bateman, kind of a big body receiver, does he take up that middle of the field that Mark Andrews kind of been, doing well at? It'll be sight to see. Me as a Lamar Jackson fan, I'll be excited to watch that game. Dawson Knox, I love Dawson Knox. He falls into that area that I talked about Stefan Diggs, where they have so many weapons. But I think Dawson Knox is a little strange in this situation because it seems to me that the Bills almost not rely on, but use Dawson Knox as a big part of their offense, even more than Stefan Diggs, their running backs, Emmanuel Sanders, anything. I think he's just such a fixture in that offense that those other options don't really pertain to Dawson Knox.
Yeah, he's really good. I liked him last year. He was just raw, and they didn't really have a right role for him. Like Diggs are almost running him as a decoy and then running Knox in the window behind him that he clears, and he's just catching a bunch of long balls. I like him quite a bit.
Was Dawson Knox went to Ole Miss, right?
Yeah.
Was he there with DK and AJ?
He must have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a scary offense. Dan Arnold showed back up last week. I would like to remind people that that's not a fluke. Plays the Bills this week. That's a tough matchup, but he's still at 14 for me. Schultz should do better this week with Dak back. I have him at 9. I have George Kittle at 8, assuming he gets activated off of IR. I don't have a ton of confidence in him, but I feel like he needs to see targets. Pat Freiermuth for the Steelers. He's an absolute stud. He's so good. He's the replacement for Juju Smith-Schuster. Like we said right away when Juju went down. He's the one getting all those underneath routes. Ebron getting hurt. Not a surprise, but it also helps him see that larger role. They get in the red zone. Either they're going to give it to Naji or they're going to give it to him. I really like him. He's at 18 because I'm a little scared of the Bears defense, even still. But I don't know. He's a stud. Like, if you have a space on your roster, pick him up. he could rival or like sneak his way into top 12, I think, by the end of the year. And I'm going to use this as my segue into our guarantees of the week.
Can I pose a question first before the guarantees?
Okay,
No?
yeah, good.
Okay.
Go for it.
Thank you.
Quickly.
Thank you. David Jalu, I hope I didn't butcher that again for another week. Trade Mixon away for Debo. Full PPR. Also have Dalvin Cook, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams, Diggs, and Justin Jefferson. I say absolutely not. The way running backs are stacking up, and it's a lot easier to find a third wide receiver than a third or second running back.
Yeah, he's too big of a role in that Bengals offense. I think you got to keep him.
I've done a complete 180 on Joe Mixon. I think he's an absolute stud. He's good. So he's very integral to Joe Burrow not, destroying his ACL every single play.
He packs a punch, doesn't he?
Yeah, to say the least.
Sure does. Anyway, Packers tight end Robert Tonyan went down injured, torn ACL, done for the year. Everybody's ranking Mercedes Lewis. He's the guy now, obviously, because he's clearly going to be so stupid. I have Josiah Jaguar ranked at 20. My guarantee is that he is number one Packers tight end. In fantasy, he's the Packers tight end to own going forward. So I think he's, compared to the rest of the industry, like I said, I have him at 20, which is 20 spots higher than the consensus. If you want to do a guarantee that he outscores Mercedes, if you want to do a guarantee that he's a top 25 guy, I don't care. I think he's going to see a ton of targets either way, personally.
So what do you want to do then? It's your guarantee, man.
Okay, outscores Mercedes Lewis, who I think the consensus has him at like 20. So just say outscore him. Luke, what do you got?
For my guarantee, this one hurts me to say. I think Zach, you mentioned it, that the Vikings are going to make Lamar Jackson pass. I'm going to take under 50 yards rushing for Lamar Jackson.
I like it. Has he done that this year yet?
Not sure.
Oh, I don't know. Well, while you're searching that up, I'm going to give mine. The Saints are playing the Falcons. Kamara's had a lot of touches, a lot of stuff on his plate. After seeing what just happened to Henry and now having Ingram that they're confident with, they're definitely going to cede a lot of carries to Ingram. I think he becomes a little bit of a vulture. I think he falls into the end zone this weekend. I think he scores a touchdown. Nothing crazy, but for everybody saying that it won't matter, I think this is not the norm that Ingram scores all the touchdowns, but I think it's not something I'd ever be surprised about. And I think that starts this week.
He didn't see a ton of touches last week, but he looked really good with them. Like, he seemed revitalized to be like everyone does once they leave Houston, it seems like. I like that a lot. Lamar Jackson ran for under 50 yards once this year. He ran for 28 against the Broncos.
Vikings have fast linebackers too.
They do. They don't have Danielle Hunter anymore, but they do have fast linebackers. Okay.
Zach, is
there anything else in the chat?
Before we end, Zach, I just want to say I'm pissed that you brought up Rex Burkhead, because Rex Burkhead's the guy who finds his way into my fantasy team like 8 times a year. Pick up, drop. And now I'm going to have that in the back of my mind for the rest of the year.
Yeah. I feel like in every dynasty league I'm in, he gets there sometime. And Scott Fishbowl, he always finds his way there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pick him up either. I think he just gets put on my fucking team. I would never pick up Rex Burkhead, but I will finish the year with him for sure. Okay. So this was the Fantasy Football Show. We will be back with Lombardi Sweep to talk Packers in a little bit. We'll see if we can figure out some Packers news to talk about. I'm not sure if there's much today, but we will be back in a little bit.